All right. So in this particular article from the Gateway Pundit, Mike LaChance, the article is entitled BLM Co-Founder Used Donated Funds to Pay Millions to Family Members and Friends. And for those of you, and I hope nobody who's watching this, who's a member of this channel or a frequent follower of this channel, did this. But if you put a black square on your Facebook or your Twitter or any of your social media accounts to be in solidarity with this leftist, communist, Marxist organization hell-bent on destroying America, then you were a sucker. And it's okay. I've been a sucker many times before. I used to vote Democrat. So this is not a charge against you. In fact, I'm probably the biggest sucker out there because I was a Democrat for a long time and did a bunch of Democrat stuff. And I paid the Democrat tax in many, many ways. So I'm really speaking to myself. So no offense to anybody. But if you put a black square, you were a sucker because these people here don't care about you. They don't care about the issue. They're Marxists. They're communists. We mentioned before the mantra. The issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution. That's why they can get away with hypocrisy left and right, because they don't care about the issue. It's a means to an end. And the means to their end is their pocketbooks, their purses, and their family members who are being paid literally millions of dollars. And so check this out. Here's your chick here. We did an article on her about her buying houses. I think she bought several $1 million worth of houses and real estate. I'll leave a link to that particular video below here. But let's jump right here. It says the Black Lives Matter organization is sitting on tens of millions of dollars and has come under scrutiny in recent weeks because they have failed to file the appropriate paperwork associated with a nonprofit. Now, I was over a nonprofit for about a year. It was a multi-million-dollar asset nonprofit. It was a civic organization, so it wasn't tax exempt in terms of you giving a donation. We had a tax exempt entity, but that was separate. But for the most part, the rules still apply. There's a lot of rules in place for nonprofits, and there's a lot of paperwork, especially dealing with 501c3s. Okay, and the co-founder here, Ms. Patrice Cullors, has used funds donated to BLM to pay millions of dollars to family and friends for various reasons. This, combined with her home purchases, makes it look like BLM was nothing more than a massive grifter scheme. Now, let's just jump on this word grifter here really, really quickly here. What does grifter mean? And a lot of Black conservatives have been accused of that, and some for good reason. We had two, one in question, which I'll leave links to these videos below, and another one, I think his name is Alex, I can't remember his name, but he was profiled on Project Veritas about his whole situation, about him being caught on hidden video, or where he was saying that the GOP is this and that he's doing this and he's not loyal to the party. And so he caught a lot of flack. So there's been a lot of charges against Black conservatives as being grifters. And what does grifter mean? Grifter simply means this. A grifter means that you are a person who is simply using your status or your whatever. I don't even know how to define it. But in this case, you're using the fact that you're a Black conservative, right? That's kind of what Republicans are being used for. But grifting pretty much means you're exploiting people for money. That's essentially what it is. And you're using whatever issue, topic, whatever it is, in this case, Black conservatism, in this case, liberal white guilt exploitation, being Black Lives Matter, to benefit yourself and the people around you. And so this is from the Washington Free Beacon. It says that this is why Black Lives Matter thinks tax disclosures are triggering. The Black Lives Matter Foundation has $42 million in net assets, the Associated Press reported on Tuesday. The foundation's co-founder, self-proclaimed Marxist, which she is a self-proclaimed Marxist, Patrice Cullors, used the foundation's money to pay millions of dollars to family members, friends, and father of her child, her baby daddy. The Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. Oh my gosh, here we go. Let's say that again. The Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, in a 990 tax disclosure obtained by the Associated Press, reported that it invested, in quotes, $32 million in stocks from the $90 million it received as donations, unquote, thanks to the 2020 race protests. Okay, yeah. Those weren't protests. Those were riots, all right? It ended its last fiscal year with $42 million in net assets and has an operating budget of about $4 million. $4 million operating budget? What do you need to operate a nonprofit with $4 million a year? That is preposterous. An organization their size, which I don't believe they may have chapters here and there, which they may not be responsible for giving money to, but let's say they had 1,000 chapters, which they don't have that many. Say they had 100 chapters, let's make it easier. And they want to give money to those chapters for startup, for seed capital, for advertising, whatever. Even if they give $1,000 per chapter, that's still $100,000. That's still nowhere near what you need for a $4 million operating budget. Because you can rent an office space, you can do things virtually. Even if you have salaries, people should get paid for their work, for their efforts, but you should be paying $1 million salaries for people for Black Lives Matter. You should be paying the money it takes for you to buy food, put a roof over your head, buy clothes, put gas in your car, transportation to and from where you need to be, and maybe a little extra for personal stuff, but nowhere near are you getting someone a $1 million salary. So $4 million operating budget, I don't know where that's coming from. Their operating budget should be right around $500,000, I would think, personally, for something, what they're trying to do. If they really care about the Black community and really cared about the issues that they say they claim they care for. Under Clore's direction, BLM paid out nearly $970,000 to a company owned by Damon Turner, who has a child with Clore's, more than $840,000 to a security firm run by Clore's brother, and more than $2.1 million in consulting firm owned by Clore's associate, Shamala Bowers. Says Clore has admitted the foundation employed her mother and sister as well as her brother. So it's a family system. Reminds me a little bit of the spoil system with President Jackson back in the day, where he hired all of his buddies who helped him get elected. Clore's this year said just hearing about the 990 disclosure, which all nonprofits are required to fill out, is, quote, triggering, unquote. She said the form is, quote, being literally weaponized against us, unquote, and made her feel, quote, deeply unsafe, unquote. See, this is what they do. They go straight into victim mode. I'm going to try to stay calm on the first episode of the show. But that's why, this is why BLM and this victim mentality is like a drug to these people. It is a religion to these people. It is a cult to these people. Because no matter what happens to you, no matter how bad you may be, no matter how badly you've been caught, dead to rights, video footage, documented footage, it doesn't matter what it is, you can always turn back and use these buzzwords like triggered or being weaponized or deeply unsafe in terms of like safe rooms to portray a victimhood so that you now are reversing it and becoming the person in charge and the person who has the power. Because the person who is a victim ultimately has the power, if you think about it. I've used this example before. I'm gonna say it again here. If I walk into a room and I'm wearing a white shirt and a Black person comes up to me and says to me, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you're wearing that white shirt. Do you understand what the color white symbolizes? It is the most oppressive thing in the history of mankind. that shirt is offensive and I am offended. What she's saying is, or that person is saying is that they are the victim. Now, I can take this one of two ways. I can walk away, ignore it, or I can give in to that and say, oh my gosh, you know what? You're so right. I have another shirt. I'll go to my car. I'll put it on. It happens to be a black shirt. Would that be okay for you? All right. What did I just do there? I just lended this person power over me on my decision-making, on my time, on my emotional state, because I had to literally go to the car, get the shirt, take it on, take it off, put it on, come back in, and that wastes time. And also the whole emotional charge that I have to go through to get to that point is also very taxing. And all of that because I acquiesced to a charge that was bogus. And that's what's happening here. The charge that BLM puts forth is bogus. And therefore they use that guilt or that influence that people use, the black squares, that they put on social media, to do their bidding, essentially. And so that's what's happening here. So by them saying triggering, deeply unsafe, being literally weaponized against us, those are buzzwords or dog whistles, I dare say, to say, hey, I'm being a victim, leave me alone, I'm Black Lives Matter. But on the surface, any person with common sense can see that this is very, very shady. When Candace Owens came out against I forget her name as well, but she came out against a person who was running in Maryland, Baltimore, and she presented evidence of, impropriety with alleged impropriety. I'll say that with strippers, organizations, other sub companies, clothing lines that weren't adding up to statements, and calling out, say, hey, this wasn't really matching up. And the first thing that person did was come back and say, okay, I'm being victimized. I'm a victim, in other words. And so that's the first line of attack for these people. So anyway, that's here. And this is from it's all over the place here. And this is a picture of them, I guess. And so that's what's going on. So BLM, what are your thoughts on that? Let me know in the comments below on your thoughts on that, because I'm curious, was that surprising to you that something like this would come out on the 990 form? For me, it was not at all. It was something that I fully expected to see.